Hi everybody, I'm Matt Shoemaker from Hit 'em with a Shoe, and we're here at Gen Con. Debuting, well, yesterday now, is Bee Lives We Will Only Know Summer. This is a worker placement game for 1 to 4 players, and it is all about bees. So I am a game designer and librarian from Philadelphia that designs a lot of games for education and learning, and I've also been a beekeeper for 10 years. So I'm like, hey, you know what, for our first game for Hit 'em with a Shoe, let's make a game about bees. So I took a lot of things about what it's like for honeybees to survive in the Philadelphia region, because that's where I keep my bees. All the weather is based on exactly what it's like to be a bee in Philadelphia. You go through the 9 months of the year, and then finally there's a winter upkeep phase at the end. So this game right here is set up after the end of the spring season, because in spring, as you can see on here, you get tons of different resources depending on what tiles you're looking at. But in summer, suddenly there's no food around. Nothing's blooming anymore, there's no nectar for the bees to eat. And what bees will actually do in the real world is they will start robbing each other and stealing honey from each other. So we're gonna do that in the game a little bit. Before we get that, I'm just gonna run through our little upkeep phase right at the end of spring. So the first thing we do is called our egg phase. We have 3 empty spaces in our hive here. Actually, let me turn this so you can actually see it. So we have 3 empty spaces in our hive here. The queen's gonna lay eggs in those, so we're gonna put our potential bees in the nursery. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna feed our bees. So each of these adult bees need honey. 1 honey cube feeds up to 2 bees, so that's 2 honey to feed the 3 of them. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna hatch our bees. So each pollen cube here turns into a new bee. However, there are 4 different queen types with a special power each. This one is the prolific queen. For every 2 pollen cubes, you get 3 workers for this one. So we get all 3 of these. All right, the next thing we're gonna do, because we're in summer, so this is your hive board, this is your internal hive where you interact. Out here is the kind of the world map. So this is where you all interact. So we're all building our little areas here, but now, because in spring you don't care about each other, you're all kind of in your safe havens. Summer though, we're gonna merge these strategically however you want to, based on how far you wanna be from people, what tiles you wanna be by, and everything like that. So we'll just move those in like that. And now these bees can interact with each other because you can interact with other hives as long as they're within 3 tiles of you. You can move your hive along for swarming, which I'm gonna talk about next. So the last thing to check before we start the summer is swarming. So there are 4 queen types, 3 of them are yellow, 1 of them is purple like this one here. This one swarms a lot. The rest of them don't swarm as much. So if you've got a yellow queen, you swarm on the yellow number. When you're over it, purple on the purple number. I've got 6 workers, 6 is more than 5. So this was kind of unique about this game from other worker placement games, is that you lose your workers and create opponents for yourself. So half of your bees are gonna leave. You will score victory points for that. And then you get to place one of these wild hives somewhere. I'm gonna annoy this purple player over here. So they're there, and this hive will now interact, block people, and steal honey from them. Once that's done, we can start the next turn. There's 8 different actions you can take. Foraging is how you get more food. Scouting is how you put more tiles on the map. You pick where you're gonna go. You pull 2 tiles out of this bag, choose which one you wanna place, and the other one goes back in the bag. Raiding I'll get to in a second. Defending is a preemptive action if you want to, you think someone's gonna steal your honey and you wanna protect it. Building wax is how you increase how many resources you can have, as well as how many bees you have before you swarm. Cleaning bees, there is a disease tracker here. This goes up as you do things in the world, and when it starts getting to these negative numbers, it's gonna start killing your bees. You wanna manage that. Cooling your hive, water is the 3rd resource you can gather in the game. Some of these cards have something called overheating on them, and when that happens, if you do not cool your hive, you will not get new workers that month, so you wanna manage that. And finally, requeening. In the real world, if bees don't like their queen, they will do what's called balling her. They will surround her and they will shiver to cook her to death. And when they do that, you get a new queen, so you choose which one you want. So we'll just switch to that one just for demo purposes here. All right, so that's that in a nutshell. We're in summer now. I flip over the next card. Some of these are good, some are bad. This one's really good for the aggressive queen. It gets 1 bonus when it uses the raid or defend action. So this purple guy here, just to show how that works, is gonna attack this guy here. 3 of my bees left, so it became a strength 3 hive. Now if I attack it with 2 workers here, this queen's power is for every 2 workers it gets a bonus, plus that bonus. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. This 12-sided die is really a D4, there's just 4 numbers on it. I can roll this and whatever I get is gonna decrease that. However, if I add 1 more bee here, this strength is 5. Can't roll a 5 on this, so what we do is you roll 2 of these and add them together. There we go. 5 is enough to kill this guy. Comes off the board. You get victory points, and you get some honey and a little disease. That's how the game pretty much works. We go back and forth until the end of the game. We get to the winter upkeep phase. You go through the 3 months of winter, where your bees eat honey. If you have disease, it's going to kill some bees. And at the end of the game, you get 1 more victory point for every bee that survives winter, and every honey cube that's left in the game. The other thing we really did with this game is we focused a lot on solo play. So there's 4 ways to play this game solo. One is the game I just showed you, because you're building your own opponents. You can do that and just play a simple beat your score game. We also have these challenge cards. There's several of these. These are special objectives you need to keep. You need to beat to also win the game. And what's cool about these is you can also do them in multiplayer games if you want to give people bonus objectives that they need to make while they play the game. After that, we have campaign mode. So the main game is meant to go through this cycle once, but you can go through it up to 3 times the way 3 years. This one is meant to go through a 2 or 3 year game. This zombie scenario is based on a real-world parasite that lays eggs in its bees and turns them into zombies when they go kill themselves and the eggs hatch out. It's kind of creepy. And finally, we have scenario cards. So these cards, there's a predetermined map that's set up. There might be some wild hives on the map, and there's some other little instructions down there. So that's the game. It's available at Gen Con here for $65. It's also available on our website, hiddenwithashoe.com. And at this time, that's the only place to get it, other than if you're lucky enough to live near one of the retailers that backed our Kickstarter. So we're doing great here at Gen Con. We will be at Spiel, and we're hoping to sell well and do another print run very soon. So, thank you. Yeah.